Okay, so I wanted just to sync up with you real quick on the discussion about the Consul cluster. Maybe there were a few misunderstandings or some bad assumptions on my part. Initially, I was thinking we were going to have one. Well, I wasn't really sure, but I was thinking we would have one Consul cluster per shard. And well, this is how we have it set up now. But thinking about this more and more, it sounds like it's probably not the best approach. I think you agree with that. Like we should probably just have a single Consul cluster. Otherwise, we're going to have multiple Consul agents joining multiple clusters to do the discovery, right?
Correct, yes.
So given that we have a single Consul cluster, then we need to decide whether it's going to be, well, I guess it's going to be the main Consul cluster that we're already using for production staging. Then it's a matter of making sure that we don't have duplicate service names. And this is where I think it gets a little bit tricky. Number 2 on the agenda, I just wanted to like enumerate all the service names we have now and what we're going to need to do. I think for Patroni, well, let's skip that for now. But for the exporters, I'm struggling a bit because it feels like given the work you did for PG Bouncer, you install your own, or you install the console outside of Omnibus, right? For PG Bouncer?
No, I use Consul that's provided by Omnibus. And
when you register services, okay, then I misunderstood. So when you register services against that console, how do you, are you like dropping service files in the console config.d directory, or are you doing something else?
Yeah, just JSON files.
And does that like cause problems because Omnibus wants to manage that directory and we're dropping files there, or is that, you think that's safe to do?
I don't think it manages the whole directory, it just manages the individual files inside it. But I could double check.
I see, and this is why you had logic to kind of remove the old service.
This logic is independent of whether we're using our own console or Omnibus one, because since we can have multiple number of PG bouncers, we should have an ability to clean up afterwards, or otherwise they will just linger around and could cause problems.
So I guess we're kind of, I guess my concern here is that what happens when we do a GitLab CTL reconfigure and I guess it won't create, it won't delete or cause any problems if it tries to register a service by using that directory, because there's no like common services. I'm just like, I'm trying to think about how this is going to work, especially with exporters, because exporters also need to have namespace by shard name. So, and unfortunately, like once you have console enabled, it creates the service. So maybe the answer here is that we need to make it so that the service names are configurable by Omnibus. Would that do it? Do you understand the problem here or not?
Yeah, having a same name for exporters could be conflicting across shard names, but if I understand you correctly, we only care about it because we want Prometheus to script from the correct exporter. And if so, can't we utilize tag names? Like we just register services, the services for exporters easily, but we just add a tag name that is unique to this shard. So just add a bunch of tag names, and Prometheus can filter from this because we can provide tags or node meta attributes. So we don't really need to fiddle with the service names or have unique ones at per shard.
Yeah, I think we could probably do that. So basically create a tag for every, like a tag that corresponds to the shard.
Yeah.
Okay. I think like we would still then need to make an omnibus change for that, right? Because omnibus doesn't configure tags when it registers the console service.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, it's just basic. Yeah.
That'd be it. Okay.
But that's an easy change we can integrate into omnibus, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That should be fairly straight forward. I guess where what I'm struggling with is like having a consistent approach to using shard, and I was thinking about this earlier and taking a look at like we have this service called Postgres SQL HA, and that uses tags, but it uses tags for master and replica. We don't use this currently in production. Like we don't use tags. We have two different service names. What
No,
right?
we actually use tags, except that these are different ones. Like for right now in production, we explicitly say use tag master if a certain
Mhm.
health check is passing, and tag replica if another health check is passing. And the same thing is done here, but this service is registered by Consul itself. It's just a coincidence that it's using the same tags that we're using, but this one is not done by omnibus itself. It just passes a configuration to patterns that register Consul services, and then
Yeah.
we just end up with Postgres HA.
Right. So right. So I was looking at this, and you can set like this Petroni scope, and that'll change the name of Postgres SQL HA. So we could create like, you know, like I was thinking Petroni scope, equals PostgreSQL CI, right?
Correct, yes.
And that'll create the service PostgreSQL CI with two tags, master and replica. But I think then we're kind of establishing a convention where we have the shard and the service name. So I kind of wonder whether we should do the same for the exporters too,
Yeah, it's just a matter of how big a change we want to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I just was thinking to be consistent, but
yeah, another thing is that the Consul seem to offer like multiple ways of DNS discovery, so we just don't need to stick to the whole tag.service.consul and so on. Maybe for the exporters we need to, because we are constrained about what Prometheus can search with, and that's only tags and node meta attributes. But
yeah,
for Postgres, it's flexible because it's from the Rails side, and we can maybe utilize something more sophisticated. I was thinking maybe we can look into the prepared queries that is offered by Consul, but this could be maybe complicate things. But it's just that we have two problems, because we look up for two different reasons. One for Rails, which is mainly the Postgres HA, and the other one for the exporters, which is kind of different thing.
okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. So could you just paint for me, like, or give me a very high level view? So when assuming we have multiple shards and they're all registering to a single console cluster, what we need is to be able to connect to the ILB. So so we'll have like for each shard, there'll be a DB host, which will be the ILB endpoint. And then we'll have DB load balancing for each shard. And that is going to be a console record. So it'll be like Do you think
db-run.
like something like this, like CI?
The load balancing is connected to the read-only, so it will be
So it'd be
something
like
ci-db replica dot services
or
console, something like that.
it'll be I don't know if you can see my screen, but like
Yeah,
it'll be
I can see.
yeah, it'll be this, right? Like you'll have the tag will be replica, yes or no? And then
No, this one is this service is pointing to Patroni itself, but for DB load balancing, we want to point to the BG bouncers in front of it. So we're gonna have it's gonna be different one.
Okay, so what will this be?
It will be something like db-replica-ci dot services console.
Something like this.
Yeah, correct.
And this will give it, and this will give you all of the PG bouncers across all of the replicas.
Correct.
Is this what we register now, or do we need to make a change to our PG bouncer role?
Right now in staging production, it's just db-replica.services console.
Yeah, so we just need to add like a shard name to the service, right?
Yeah.
And you don't think that we should make this a tag then, right? You don't think we should do something like this?
We could, yeah, we can definitely
yeah.
can, but there was no need for it in our current setup, so we just went directly with a changing the service name. But for our use here, we can definitely prefix it with a tag.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's going to be like better. I don't think it really matters that much. Maybe it would be better just to put it in the service name. I don't know. Okay. So I'm still like I'm really like you're not anticipating any problems with dropping these service definitions into the omnibus console. I'm just worried that it's going to like, you know, I can talk to the distribution team to see what they think. Another option could be is that we maybe add an omnibus configuration to point to a different directory for console so that it's maintained outside of omnibus.
Maybe
Yeah.
from what I can see here in omnibus, it creates the config directory as just a normal directory. It's not a managed directory. So
yeah, okay.
But yeah, we can make sure from the with the distribution team.
And it won't get like blown away or anything with a package upgrade, right?
I shouldn't, because
Yeah.
well, I'm not really sure into how the package extracts and do its
Yeah.
stuff, but I guess all of the stuff should be done within the chef configuration. So given the chef configuration I'm seeing right now, it just creates the directory, it doesn't remove anything.
Okay, let's just open up an issue or have a conversation with distribution to see what they think, and we'll go from there.
Cool.
When we configure multiple PG bouncers, so we're using the omnibus console, so that's number 3. Number 4. Yeah, so this one we don't need because we're not disabling it. For number 4, can we, how do I make it so that I have multiple PG bouncers on my Patroni node right now?
That should be the default right now.
Is it the default? Really?
Yeah, if for the Postgres role, it defaults to 3 PG bouncers.
Okay, I don't know why I wasn't seeing that. I'll check again. For all sandbox environments?
Yeah, it's in the .ci.jsna.
Okay, I'll double check. Cool. So, and number 5 was the last point. So we haven't really settled yet how this is going to work, but I mean, currently I have 2 database projects for staging and production, and I thought we would just peer VPC peer. That in itself may change. Like we may decide just to deploy directly into the production or staging projects. What is your opinion on that? Do you think there's any value in having a separate project for all this database stuff? I think there's value in testing and validating that it all works, but maybe when we get close to going to production, we should just move to the actual staging and production projects themselves.
I can't really see. Can you elaborate on the testing part, like how it's going to be useful in testing?
What I was thinking was like we deploy. What I'm really worried about is what happened when we were building out the registry databases and staging, where someone like we overlooked the service name, so then suddenly like the new databases were showing up in the replica list. And what my fear is that if we start deploying to the production project and start registering to the production console server, that we'll have the same sort of mistakes. So what I was thinking is like, we have a separate project, which really is completely isolated from prod. We deploy the Patroni cluster, we deploy a separate console service, we register all the services, and then we can kind of validate, make sure like, okay, all the services look good. Then we can just like point it, we can peer the project and point it to the existing console service and like register everything there. But maybe that's being overly cautious. I don't know. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And yeah, I understand. It was a database. I guess it helps to be extra cautious. Maybe I'm a bit hesitant about it because peering introduces its own set of problems like overlapping IPs and so on. You need to be extra careful with the IP allocations and what's not.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, the DNS and all that comes with it. I would say maybe that's a problem down the road. Maybe when we.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like I think maybe we can decide later if it's. I think it actually doesn't matter too much because we probably will create a DNS entry anyway for the internal LB. I think we do already.
Correct. Yes. So
it's not like, and for VPC peering, I have like made sure that these new projects are not overlapping. So we'll have that option if we want to take it. I guess if we decide not to do it that way, then we'll just deploy right into the production project. What I really wanted to avoid was, as we're validating this, like deploying into the production project, especially with Terraform and Ansible, it's like, I feel much more comfortable having like this separate project that's completely isolated with permissions, but, I guess we can kind of validate it in a separate project and then just point it to GitLab production too. Like there's no reason why we can't do that. Okay. All right. So I think the main thing is we need to, I want to start an issue to see if it's okay if we use omnibus console for service definitions. And I want to drop an issue to see if we can override the service names for the exporters or whether we can customize tags. I think those are the 2 things. Sound right?
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. That's all I got.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you too.
Talk to you. Ciao. Bye.